All right, everybody, welcome back to the Coach Mark Show. We are week 7. Coach, it's been a couple of weeks, but you've got a big win over Holly Pond, and you went and played Sylvania. Got a big win at Holly Pond. Talk about that.
Well, I mean, we talked about, coming out and playing hard, and I think our kids did that for that game. It was homecoming. There was a lot of distraction during the week, so I was proud of the way they were able to react to that. We didn't carry it into the Sylvania game as much as I would have liked for us to. I think we're getting better every week. The competition obviously changes. It goes, it goes up and down, but I'm trying to get our guys to be consistent from week to week to week. And while I see some really good things on film, I just see some inconsistencies that we have to get better at. And then, you coming in here playing the number 3 team in the state tonight, and and you're just kind of like, okay, we're going to find out if we're getting a little bit better every week. And our guys had a good week of practice. I'm looking forward to seeing if they'll compete.
Yeah, you talked about some people had the perception that this region, because it changed, it might have gotten easier. And you actually made the argument that it got harder.
It did get harder.
And I think you got Plainview tonight, then you got, in 2 weeks, you got Geraldine coming up. I mean, there is no week off in this region.
Well, I don't have Plainview tonight. I have Piedmont tonight.
Oh, did I say Plainview?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I have Piedmont tonight, and then we finish out with Piedmont, Ohatchee, Geraldine, and West End, and everybody on our schedule is a solid football team from here on out, and as we go from week to week to week, like I said, I'm just looking for the competitive level of our kids to keep increasing as we go. I know a lot of times when your win-loss record is on the flip side, and I think right now we're standing at 2-5 going into this week. Sometimes you look to make sure that your kids and them are still focused on what we're trying to get done. But the reality of it is, it's a game, and we play it every week, and it's the only game in town. This game doesn't count as, if you win it doesn't count as 4 wins. If you lose it doesn't count as 4 losses. It counts as one game. So it's a measuring stick of, hey, where are we and where are we trying to get to? I'm super excited to be playing the number 3 team in the state. Some people look at you and go, you're crazy. I'm like, no, because it's a measuring stick, and I want to play the best. I want to play the guys that are considered the best in the state, because it shows your kids 2 things: where you are and where you're trying to get to, or what work you need to get done to get to that point. And, that was one thing I was proud of at my previous school. I don't think we ever shied away from playing people that were the best in our group. And it's because, you've got 1 or 2 choices. When you play, you've got teams that are playing at an upper level. You've got 1 or 2 choices. You can either elevate your game to get there, or you can just kind of fall off into obscurity and not worry about it. And, and just say, hey, we can't get there, and complain and make excuses and talk about what everybody else has and what you don't have. And the reality of it is there's very little difference between high school players in the different classes. Class 3A, the kids are all pretty much even. It doesn't mean you don't have a standout star at different places, but as a whole, there's very little difference in those football teams. So what makes a difference? What makes a difference is getting guys to consistently do the same things over and over and over, being very well schooled in the fundamentals and being able to execute those fundamentals, being able to compete every week against the people you're playing. But one of the things that's important to me is the consistency level of practice every week, and the fundamental part of practice every week. If you're not very good at fundamentals, you're not going to be a very good football team. And I think that that's one of the things we're still stressing now that we stressed 10 weeks ago when we started, is fundamental football.
Absolutely. I've noticed with you, it's not that you're not mentally, you're not stressed out on Fridays.
No.
The closer it gets to game time, it seems like the more relaxed you get, because you put the work in every other day of the week. And when Friday comes, I remember there was a game 2 years ago, that was a high profile game, and I walked in and you were just so relaxed. And
I might look relaxed on the outside, but no, the reality of it is you prepare starting on Sunday. And, you know, as coaches, as players, you want everybody to watch film, and you're coaching the week, and, you know, in the preparation, you hope that the only preparation the kids get isn't just what you're giving them. You hope that they're watching the video and that they're looking at the people they're going to play against. And I think that's one of the things that we're doing now is we're teaching kids how to get prepared for football games. And that doesn't mean that they're not doing it, but it means every week we're trying to get better at it. You know, we're trying to say, hey, this is what we're looking for. This is not what we're looking for. My preparation as far as going into Friday, I mean, it's done. I mean, there's not a magic potion. There's not some elixir out there that's going to transform. You know, we've put in all the work during the week. We've had, you know, whether we've had good practices, bad practices, indifferent practices, whatever it is, it's done. You know, and I always, one of my mantras, and you can ask anybody that's been around me, is control the things you can control. You know, I can't control what's going on at Piedmont this week. You know, they don't control what's going on here at Glencoe this week. So, you know, I just control the things I can control. And when we go out there to play on Friday night, I mean, I'm controlling my side of it. I'm controlling my football team. And then, you know, football's such a reactionary game. You come out and say, oh, here's what they're doing defensively, or, oh, here's what they're doing offensively. And we're having to adjust on both sides. And that probably, I'm not going to say it's nerve-wracking, but if you're prepared, then you know what you're going to go to next. Now, the execution of it is a totally different thing. I mean, today I've been watching practice video all week of us. Not necessarily, I've watched a ton of Piedmont. I mean, I know they've got good players, and I know where they play, and on both sides of the ball, and it's no secret. But I've got to see what we've got to do better. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's what I spend a lot of time doing is critiquing ourselves. You know, when I look at ourselves and I say, well, this isn't working, not because of what people are doing schematically to us. It's not working because fundamentally we're not very good. And so every week we're trying to improve. And that's my whole thing is, you know, I want to make sure that when we walk off the field after week 10, that we were better than we were when we started week 1. You know, I don't want to flip in the Weaver game and then flip in the West End game and see very little difference in the two football teams. If we do, then I haven't done my job. You know, and so I think that that's the biggest thing is, are we better today than we were 7 weeks ago? Will we be better tonight? I don't know what the score is going to be, but will we be better tonight? And then will we be better next week and the next week? And then finally, when we finish up at West End, will we be better than we were week 1 against Weaver? And, you know, that's the thing. And so you're probably right. I don't get too nervous because, you know, we're going to be prepared going into the football game.
I've seen coaches who are standing at the whiteboard or the chalkboard, drawing up a last-second play. They're yelling instructions. They've got a new idea for a new blitz. Mm-hmm. But for you, all of that work is already done. And like you said, you can only control what you can control.
Well, if you got coaches that are really that are out there having to make a bunch of corrections on Wednesdays, I didn't say today, it's Friday, but if you got coaches that are having to make a bunch of corrections on Wednesday, then you probably are going to struggle on Friday. I'm just telling you, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday practice, by the time, you know, we intro a little bit with film on Sunday. Monday's our intro day and a work day. Tuesday's our long work day. Wednesday's our second long work day. By the time we walk off the field Wednesday, if we're still having to make a bunch of corrections, then you know, we're not going to be prepared like we should be prepared. So, you know, I can tell you when we walk off the fields on Wednesday what kind of game we're going to have. Now, does that always mean that you're not going to win? No. It doesn't always mean you're going to lose. But you'll know if you're going to be crisp. You'll know if the kids are going to be doing what they're supposed to be doing. So I spent a lot of time watching a lot of video that, you know, that's of us. And so I've watched video after video after video of things we did against Sylvania, things, you know, we did the week before against Holly Pond, things we did, you know, and again, the competition level between the two, just use those two teams, for example, there's a big difference. But the reality of it is, you know, first steps are first steps. It doesn't matter who we're playing. If our first steps are bad, then that's not good. That's something we've got to correct. So, you know, we're still correcting a lot of fundamental stuff and still trying to make sure that, teach our kids to do the right things. And, I don't think that's going to change.
Absolutely. So it's a lot like the offense that you run. All we're asking for is 3 or 4 yards.
That's it. And all I'm asking for is a good first step.
Yes.
On the offensive and defensive lines, first steps are everything. And if those guys aren't taking good first steps, they're putting themselves in a bad position, literally, that now they have to try to correct being out of position, which usually does not lead to something good happening. So that's what we're trying to get our kids. As football, we get clouded up. We focus on the whole dadgum, forest, and we forget about that one tree standing there. And when we run into it, you've got to focus on little bitty things for good things to happen. And it's when you focus on and get real expansive that bad things are going to happen. And I think sometimes our kids, through experience, we really do a good job at practice, and we're able to focus in. There's not a lot of distraction in practice. It's practice. But Friday nights, there's plenty of distraction.
A lot of them.
And your kids have to be mentally disciplined and mature enough to handle those distractions. Sometimes we are. Sometimes we aren't. So our job is to make sure that we keep improving on being able to handle distractions.
Well, sounds good, Coach. I like it. Sounds very familiar.
Well, it's not going to change. And like I said, we're constantly trying to improve, and we're constantly asking our kids to do certain things, not a lot, but just what they do to do it better. So these next 4 weeks, are big measuring sticks.
Absolutely. Coach, I appreciate it. Good luck tonight, and I'll see you later tonight.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.